There's no feeling that being in the square and you're looking left and looking right and seeing all the people all over the place. There's no feeling like that.
Junkanoo does not exist virtually. Junkanoo has to happen on Bay Street.
As we crept ever closer to Bay Street, Junkanoos found ways to bring back some semblance of normalcy to their lives and routines. Some groups and sections put on displays of their talent, while others produced tributes to their culture. But no one expected the show that the One Family Junkanoo and Community Organization presented.
The routine and costume committee kind of got together and figured out what do we want to present, what do we want to see when we look at this video. So even though it was Junkanoo, we realized too that Junkanoo being a product of Bahamian culture, we wanted to kind of pay homage to that and not really just the whole Junkanoo thing. We wanted to pay homage to our culture as Bahamians and then specifically Bahamian women. So we kind of got the idea of this like Bahama mama, very like sexy but at the same time colorful, fun and flowy, and that's how we designed the costume. So we realized that we not only wanted to keep it bright and cheerful, but we also wanted to have some type of island appeal to it.
Even Russian emancipation, why we don't just incorporate Africa and just do Black Lives Matter, and it started to resonate with everybody. And then we started to look at the various villages we could come from. So I started to tell them, man, listen, the bass could come from Gambia, Tum-Tum from Adelaide, we can climax in Foxhill, and the bells came from Clifton Heritage Park. Like, the idea just started to resonate, and then after that, man, we just started putting notes and pen to paper and writing down what all we need and what needs to happen. And we didn't have no money, but listen, we had God on our side and we was able to pull that off.
The word was out that who all could make it, try to make it. All right. So, me being a Junkanoo man and stuff like that, I say, boy, this is a good idea. So, hey, let's try and let's incorporate it and let's try to big it up as best as we could. But at the end of the day, man, listen, it touched a lot of hearts and souls, and it was a success.
The key thing was, though, so we wouldn't make others who was not a part of it feel left out. It was, each section was supposed to find at least 6 to 8 persons who could be able to afford being a part of it, because we didn't have those sponsors, and we had to find persons who basically was working and being able to afford being a part of the production, and it's during the pandemic. So we couldn't invite the whole entire group. So Rico would have went to the Tum-Tum and he would have said, listen guys, who could do this? Pender would have went to the bells, Power went to the bass. We said to the brass, we didn't need 15 to 20. That was what they gave us. And listen to me, it all came together. At the end of the day, we all represented one family, so we didn't want nobody from the group to feel like, oh, we didn't select them. But it was all based on funding and who would be able to afford it during the pandemic.
The leader looks like the Israelite. God's gonna trouble the water.
Corporate Bahamas was even inspired to participate in keeping the spirit of Junkanoo alive.
Well, the traditional Junkanoo parades may have been canceled this year, but KFC Nassau has come up with an idea for Junkanooers to get their creative juices flowing for a chance to win cash and a whole lot of prizes. The initiative is called Junkanoo Buckets, a competition where Junkanooers are asked to create a unique Junkanoo headpiece using a KFC chicken bucket. The winning headpiece will receive $5,000.
I was strolling one day on the internet and I saw the advertising of the KFC Junkanoo bucket competition, and I said this was a great opportunity to express myself doing this during the pandemic. You know, being at home, not much to do. It gave me an opportunity to do something creative and to express myself culturally. So I was all in. My plan really was to showcase my talent in a different form, you know, and the KFC Bucket Challenge, Junkanoo Bucket Challenge, it provided that opportunity. You know, it's another concept added to the art world, you know, where you could take a brand and see how best you can express that brand through your artistic ability. When I entered the competition, that was 2020, the first one, and I came in second under 3 points. But it's very good, you know. A lot of different Junkanoo artists from throughout the community, they were involved, and it was very good, you know, because we get to experience a whole different way to do Junkanoo. This is the winning hat from the 2021 KFC Junkanoo Bucket Competition. KFC wanted to help Junkanoo artists during the pandemic, and so they came up with this Junkanoo Bucket Competition, and it was for Junkanoo artists nationally from Abaco to Inagua. So any artist, Junkanoo artists from any one of the islands could have got involved. So what I did was, this was a logo that they were using last year, and I combined it to make a backdrop with the stars and the balls and the featherwork. So this would have been something that they had on their flyers and on their shop windows last year. This is the bucket that they dedicated in honor of Jackson Burnside, and you had to use this bucket because this is the bucket that they used to honor him last year. And like I said, I wanted to show a lot of the stuff that they have on their menu, and how they would prepare it. Like this here is the cutting board. This here is the chopping block. This is a regular 3-piece. You go and get this mashed potatoes, coleslaw, of course, the family size fries, and the drink. And then you have they had a new biscuit, which was a honey something biscuit last year, and this would represent that honey biscuit that they had last year. And of course, I couldn't go without, yes sir, Jackson is in the back.
After seeing how deep the roots of culture are embedded within Junkanoos and supporters alike, December 2021 would see a hybrid version of Junkanoo.
One family did something virtual, and because of that, you know, other groups and what's not was following our lead, from our girls straight down to our drummers, and that shows that in adversity we know how to think and we know how to adjust.
That's no question. And so the adjustment was virtual rather than us being in person.
But preparing for it was kinda weird.
Like I said, it wasn't the real feeling because you were not on Bay Street. There's no feeling than being in the square and you're looking left and looking right and seeing all the people all over the place. There's no feeling like that. We were at, I think it was the Sports Center. We didn't have spectators, so it was just a closed rush. So it didn't give you the chair chanting and the crowd saying Valley or Saxons, who are we? It wasn't the same. Just give us a very small taste of what we know about Junkanoo at the time during COVID. So
I thought that for our group, the opportunity to be in a virtual space, for us to collaborate, for the music, for the girls, just for the camaraderie was an awesome opportunity. Virtual may not be the place that Junkanoo actually lives, because Junkanoo is a living, breathing organism. Junkanoo, of course, is a verb, and Junkanoo cannot be contained in a virtual space. You need your fans, you need the call of the wild, so to speak, because in some instances, the call of the wild, or the persons that are cheering you on, heightens your experience, and it makes you a little bit more vibrant, and then you get more energy, and there's more emphasis in what you actually bring to Bay Street. I don't even think being in a virtual space is anything like being on Bay Street proper. When you think about the glitz and the glamour and the lights, when you think about our ancestors in Pompeii, and just the mere fact that you are on Bay Street and you get the roll over, there's nothing like it. So of course our experience for the virtual Junkanoo presentation was phenomenal. And of course the Saxon Superstars dominated in terms of our color and our chemistry and actually our execution. So I think that what we did was an awesome performance. But virtually, Junkanoo does not exist virtually. Junkanoo has to happen on Bay Street.
It was a quick, you have to get ready, rather than being in the shop for weeks. We had to get a quick turnaround. So you had to make it happen quick. That's the difference.
You know, it was a mixed bag of nuts when that information first came out. But I think it was this anxiousness to see what form Junkanoo was going to take, and in that period of uncertainty, you know, it would have been fool of us not to try and participate. So we threw ourselves behind it. We participated. I think we enjoyed ourselves. I think it's something that we can learn from, and we always need to have a plan B and a plan C. So I think those 2 years in the pandemic and that virtual Junkanoo gave us a bridge into possibilities in case of any unforeseen circumstances.
I congratulate the ministry for coming up with that alternative. You know, there was a recognition, obviously, that something needed to be put in the place of Junkanoo. And so I applaud the effort, and I know the Junkanoo groups appreciated being able to do, if only, a virtual parade.
When she touched me and all, because they said she hit the person on the side and said, "Ooh, look at that one." To see me put a smile on somebody's face who don't know about the culture and the craft, oh, that means a lot to me.
In September 2021, we turned the corner under new governance in our country. After virtual Junkanoo that December, we all had high hopes. But before Junkanoo would return to us, it took a trip overseas.
Junkanoo is a lifestyle for some people. It was more like a, well, mother sick type of vibes, you know. It wasn't like, yes, mad or nothing, yes, proud to see your culture, you know. But at the same time, it's like, well, mother sick, so what's going on with us, you know? But
overall, they displayed a really,
it was a really good show.
Display of our talent,
and our culture.
I think because each country had their own decisions as it relates to on the COVID protocols and mandates. However, it is a little disturbing that you're not able to do it in your own country, where Junkanoo is from. Though Dubai portrayed Junkanoo, I don't think it's anything like doing it at home, where it comes from, where it hits your soul and every part of your body. Dubai enjoyed it, they received it well. However, I don't think it's the same as doing it here in the Bahamas.
I strongly believe that many Bahamians felt as though if the government can have it over there, why we can't have it here, seeing that this is our culture. Yeah, we understand that we showcase our culture worldwide, but it's still missing it at home. And I believe that Bahamians felt neglected in that regard.
Then, in late March, we shared it with royalty as it returned home to us.
In the Bahamas, you know, we always behind time, so it was a little time issue. And then the rain was doing its own little thing, but anybody in Junkanoo know once the rain come down, the rushes get extra sweet. So all that waiting and coming out there and they ain't reach and don't come, when the rain come down, you forget about all that.
Yeah, it was a really fun, quick parade, I would say.
I don't even remember people being on the sideline. That's how amazing that rush was. Like, because it was like being on Bay Street itself. I mean, the virtual Junkanoo was okay, but Bay Street and the music bouncing off the buildings, it was a whole different momentum.
And I think because it was a collective of groups,
it gave a different energy. So you
Right.
felt energy from, you know, every aspect, like from everywhere.
It was a rush. The feel of being on the road again, even though it was for the Royals, the feeling of enthusiasm from the crowd, and just to hear the music again, just to be in the presence of Rawson Square, to have that feeling again, that taste of that goodness, you know. It wasn't the same, no, but it was something that we can look forward to towards having Junkanoo back on Bay Street.
It was a particular privilege to be able to say in just a few words. You didn't have time to do no bunch of talking, because once that music come up the road, it was over. But, you know, you were able to say, you know, that it was West African festivals brought across the Atlantic, and in the context of slavery, it translated as defiance, as resistance. And we have continued to exercise this ritual every year, and we are very proud of it. Homegrown costumes made by us, musical instruments made by us. This is homegrown, this is true Bahamian, and it was a wonderful experience. I got the impression that they were very impressed, and they were very excited about the whole thing. And she said, one of the comments that I remember distinctly, she said, Charlotte would love this.
She touched me and all, because they said she hit the person on the side and said, ooh, look at that one. To see me put a smile on somebody's face who don't know about the culture and the craft, oh, that means a lot to me. Just for me, putting a simple smile on your face, because, you know, people be going through things. So just a simple smile, that take a whole weight off of them.
Eyes wide, hopes high, anticipation brimming, and with bated breath, we waited patiently on the words we all hoped to hear for 2 long years.
Providing an answer was Junkanoo Corporation of New Providence Chairman Dion Miller.
We met with the Minister, Mr. Mario Bolag, about a month ago, and at the conclusion of those meetings, we both agreed that there should be Junkanoo parades this year. And so the JCNP has officially reactivated. We are in the process of meeting with the various Junkanoo groups now. And the big
decision to go back to get back to having parades. I have been pressurizing my minister, Mario Bolag, ever since he was elected. And my main message was we got to get back to Bay. However that looks, I don't know, but we got to get back to Bay. And so we've started those discussions very early. We have been in close contact with persons at the Ministry of Health, just going over several scenarios. And as the country started to do better in terms of COVID, and we saw the numbers come down, and we saw the globe actually started to get out of the COVID kind of funk. The prospects got better and better. We sent a proposal to the ministry in May, and we had a meeting with the minister, who went back to cabinet, and we were so excited when we got the green light that, hey, you guys can start planning. However, with plans to still, that COVID would still be in the atmosphere, but to get back and start those initial plans. And so we were so excited to get back.
On an overcast Friday in June, we lined up on Bay Street. Albeit heading in the opposite direction, and in the daytime, it really didn't matter at this point. We made it back eager to reclaim our culture.
Labor Day was a lot of back talk and a lot of excitement, because of course now we've been the champions for the past 2.5, 3 years. So there's a lot of inner chat conversation. Oh, we coming to kill y'all, how y'all gonna look? You know, there's a lot of back and forth commentary. And so with that being said, just to line up on Bay Street, the excitement of walking to Bay Street and seeing persons that you may not have seen throughout the COVID season, or you just didn't get an opportunity to see because you don't have a daily interaction with them. It was something monumentous. It was a feeling of euphoria just to be on Bay Street, even if it was only for a few hours, just to be there, to line up, for people to just line the sidewalks, and for the drums to roll over, and for the fanfare to blaze, and for you to see the girls' hands go up, because that's the first call, and then the choreographed dancing starts. That was an awesome opportunity for us. There's sometimes a lot of difference in preparation because each section mans themselves. So you have the brass, you have the back line, you have the choreographed section, and everybody has a different fraction of how they operate. However, our chairman, Mr. Toby Austin, does say to us, this is the signature shirt that we are all going to go with. Now, each section picks their specific colors. Now, there may be a situation where you want to do something a little bit different. And so, of course, you sit down with your section, we come together, we make a unanimous decision, and you go with that. But in terms of organizing and purchasing our shirts, everyone is responsible for that. It's just really a situation of wanting us to be prepared, to be organized, to be uniformed, and to get to Bay Street and to make sure that we come across and prepare ourselves in a unanimous fashion. And in a lot of cases, uniformity brings a better air of just completeness. When you have the music aligned, when you have the choreographed section aligned, when everybody comes together, it just makes better for uniformity. Labor Day opens up the Junkanoo season. When Labor Day is open, that means that all of the preparation, all of the practices, all of the drumming rehearsals, all of the brass rehearsals that we would have had, all of the music learning that we would have had to do, whether it's the tempos, the patterns, everything has to be tight. There's some music that we will bring to Bay Street, and of course there's some music that we will not bring to Bay Street because we can't bring out all our guns one time. You have one family watching, you have the music makers, you have Roots, you have every group that's there to see and to hear, and in some cases feel what the Saxon Superstars bring to Bay Street for Labor Day. So Labor Day is really a showcasing of all the work that we would have done leading up to Labor Day.
One group in particular had some major changes as they headed back to Bay for the first time.
The power and the glory, forever and ever. Amen. Go family, get friends together. Stand together.
I've been a Junkanoo for the past 30 years. You know, this ain't nothing new to me. You know, I've been doing this radio for a little while, and you know, this year I was given the leadership. You know, circumstances happen, some things happen. I was given it, and you know, me as a senior man in Junkanoo, I say, you know what? You know, I want to trickle it down to somebody who I know, younger than me, way younger than me, who coming up, and you know, try to guide them in that direction. And you know, I give it the power. You know, everybody know Tino is a rollover man, but me, being the leader, as the thumb line for one family for the 2022-2023 season, you know, I give it the power and let them handle itself. You know.
It was awesome. You know, just like she said, that feeling of being back on Bay Street is like, okay, we really back now. And so that was like the open the gate moment. That set the tone for the rest of the season, as it usually does. And I felt like it gave everybody that excitement to begin. You know, we really back here, like the Royals was for somebody special, but this Labor Day is strictly for us. And so it was really the, okay, now this is for real. We're back on Bay Street.
And then the crown jewel of summer parades.
Independence means a showcasing of our pride, of our nationalism. It means bring your best Bahamian songs, nobody else songs, bring our songs. It means your girls are going to be showcased. They're either going to wear their t-shirts or they're going to have some garb on that signifies welcome to the islands of the Bahamas, or that signifies we are the Commonwealth of the Bahamas. And so when you think about independence, you think about a celebration. We are free, we are independent. Next year, of course, we celebrate 50 years. So it's an amalgamation of everything. And when independence happens, it's a celebration that in within of itself. So you have to think, what are we going to do? What are we going to bring new? What's going to be exciting? So we look for the girls. We look for what's going to happen in the back line. We look for what new music is going to happen. But again, the music that we play Independence is strictly Bahamian. You don't hear anything else from the Saxon Superstars other than Bahamian music. Native music. That's all we play in, because that's us.
Independence is a free rush, is a street parade, but everybody know Independence is the real set off for the season.
Yes, that's the,
like you gotta come with,
happen.
right,
this will set the trend for the season. So this what to look for
right.
For the big parade. That's what Independence
so it sets the momentum for the season.
I feel like we did just that.
We did. The return. This wasn't the traditional everyday croaker sack
thingy.
Yeah. It wasn't the traditional just androsia print. Right. It was a spin of colors, and it wasn't the fly colors at that too. I mean, we had our blue, but we
highlighted our national.
We highlight our national treasures. That's the right word I'm looking for. So you had the green that represent, the lignum wiley, like my grandma used to say. You had your yellow, the yellow elder, and you had your pink, the flamingos.
That's right.
So if you didn't understand that,
that's briefly what it was.
For us, independence is that moment to see where the competition is, basically. It's the first time the entire group would line up, meaning the front line, the choreographed dancers, the brass, the back line. So it gives you kind of a starting point as to where you are in comparison to the other groups. Junkanoo, they talk about Junkanoo being a lot about competition, and you have to see your competition to know what they're going to bring. So I feel like independence kind of sets the tone for that. Another thing independence is for is the people. So a lot of times that parade is just for the fans. It's for to say, okay, we lining up now, and this is what we're starting with, and this is where we're gonna get going from. So that's it's really your starting point for the rest of the season in terms of competition, in terms of your own section seeing, okay, when we got to the end, we were tired, we weren't tired, so it gives you a good starting point as to, okay, this is the work that we have to do for the rest of the season.
And within our section, we like to play games.
Right.
So even most of the girls didn't know what we was.
Right.
They just know they was going to go get tape up. And they just see this material, but they never really saw the complete look.
So we didn't, so a lot of person didn't know what to expect until we did.
So that's anticipation on top of
anticipation
on top of anticipation. Bruh. So when it all finally came together, not only was the crowd shocked, but we were shocked ourselves because we was like, okay, this will be the
design team.
All right then.
Okay, design team. Okay.
It gives us a chance to express and celebrate who we really are as Bahamians. And so being on that break and returning this independence, yes, it's about the people, but it gave me goosebumps as if we were on Bay Street. Every year we perform for Boxing Day and New Year's. And so that great sense of pride for self, for country, for culture, for heritage, and everybody who enjoys it. I think independence this year would have been so much more emotional for us to actually return with Junkanoo. Yes, Labor Day was done. Yes, it is a return. But I think independence is more of a greater return and a more realistic, because Labor Day is in the sun. Independence catches you at that hour, just like your Boxing Day and New Year's Day parades. And so it was very an emotional one because of the return and the great amount of spectators as well as participants.
Next week on Back to the Shop.
First annual Back to Bay competition.